Huh? No, it ain't too bad. Nice day today.
I'm practicing today.
Time to work on my garden a little bit. Brought a little help with me. Now look at this mess. Man alive. I have been really busy. I got a lot of mess here. Old tomato cages, irrigation line. I've got to get all this cleaned up. Netting, tomato cages, bell pepper cages, irrigation line, hose pipes, manifold for watering. And no, some I know you're gonna be mad at me, but no, I didn't put all this up for the winter. I did unhook all the hoses so they could bleed out, but nothing's damaged. They're okay, but I'll do better with that next time. Just really busy. So I gotta work this garden, get the weeds out of it. I'm gonna show you how I prep it, and then how I actually go about doing a garden. All right, so we're having a little pipe threading lesson right here, and we was trying to explain the male and female end of pipe threads. Jax, do you have any idea why that one's male and that one's female?
Because it's thicker.
It's thicker? No.
Or it's bigger.
Huh? All right, think about a dude. And what makes a dude a dude?
But this one's larger than this.
Huh? All right, think about a gal and what makes a gal a gal. Are you following me?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why this is the male end, and that's why that's the female end. God made them both male and female alike, right?
What about the other genders?
The other genders don't count. There are no pipe threads for the other genders because they don't exist. It's a male and a female. Get your gender right.
Kid question mark?
Hey there, it's Pete with GCI Turf. Hope you're having a great day, and thank you for checking this out. If you're new, we're predominantly a turf channel. We got GCI Turf Academy, where we have cool season guides and warm season guides, and an online store to where we you buy a program like a guide, and it's step by step. It takes you throughout the course of an entire year to get your grass right. Of course, it's for both cool and warm season. And then we got the online store to where you can, all the products you need that are, that go along with the guide are there. So this is something kind of different. Now, I've always loved a garden. Man, I'm a freaking garden nut. And I love growing big old fat organic veggies, as natural as I can possibly make them, simply because you eat that stuff. So you don't want a lot of weird things going into the ground, because that can translocate up into the plant to some extent. So I didn't have any time last year to work in my garden. I was just incredibly busy, didn't even have a garden. So I'm gonna do it this year, regardless of how busy I get. And so this is my garden. Welcome to my garden. It's about this is roughly about 2,000 square foot or so. And we'll plant them in rows. I've got to actually install an irrigation system back here. Now that I've got a well, I'm gonna put an irrigation system back here, a drip system, and it'll be on its own separate timer, so we'll do all that. Probably gonna be an above ground irrigation, probably not gonna go through the trouble of burying it. I need something I can take up and put back rapidly, because I may come in here and till it again from time to time. So let's get with it. I need to power rake it and flatten it back out. It's a lot of humps and bumps where I did my neighbor's renovation, and I ended up with some dirt I had to bring over here. I ain't had nowhere to put it. I live in a neighborhood, in a subdivision, so I just threw it in the garden and I'll just work it in the ground. All right, so I got it leveled out pretty good. I did leave a little bit of a crown right down the middle so the water will kind of shed off both ways, and you can't really tell in the camera, but it is a slope from here down to my building, so the water should drain off pretty good. Now, I'm a big fan of no-till gardening, meaning year after year after year after year, I don't typically till up my garden, rototill it or any of that kind of thing. I only work the area right where I'm planting the new vegetable. Reason is I worked hard to get the biology and the earthworms built up in this ground right here. I don't want to destroy them, so I'm kind of the pot calling the kettle black today, because I am tilling it. The reason is I'm almost kind of like I'm starting over from scratch. So, you know, you could use a mattock or a hoe or whatever, or a little small walk behind tiller. God's blessed me tremendously. I'm fortunate enough I got a Ventrac here with a tiller attachment, and I'm going to use it. And in the process, you know, my kids are getting to the age now where they need to learn how to do some of this stuff. We've been doing stuff all along, but it's time for them to step up a little bit more. So we're going to teach my daughter today how to run the Ventrac, how to use this tiller attachment, and let's go over some safety features on it first and kind of give her some basic instruction on what to do. Now, she's been on it, she's used it a few times and all that and drove it, so she's familiar with that. We'll start right here with the PTO. Leah, that's a PTO switch, power takeoff. So when you pull that out, what that's going to do is engage. Come right here and look at this. Let's pick it up. You see this part right here? And that part is kind of connected electronically to that yellow button. So when you pull that yellow button out, this is going to spin really fast. You see this belt hooked up to it? And see how the belt comes over here and gets up in this. This is a big pulley and a big gearbox down in here. And so the PTO from the tractor turns that belt, and that belt turns this belt, and then it's another group of belts or a chain or something behind this plate, and that's what makes the tiller turn. Okay, so that's kind of how all that works. All right, so the way I'm laying this out is I'm leaving me a little strip along the outside border so I can walk on hard ground right there, so I can walk. And then I'm also leaving me a little strip between the two beds so I can walk, because once you till this up, it is like, look at that, it is super duper soft, and I just want a good hard pan to walk on. And with the way I'm going to plant these is I'll have corn or tomatoes or peppers or whatever we're planting, and I'll stagger them back and forth like that, and I'll run my irrigation line straight down the middle and kind of tee off to each individual plant. So what Leah's going to do here is now when you're operating this, we're going to run it full throttle, a little bit less than full throttle. But when you're going to back up straight, you're going to have to back a straight line, so you keep because you can't go forward with the tiller on this particular machine. You have to drag it. So we'll go backwards. We're going to cut the PTO off when we get to the end. Then we're going to come back up here, get reset. Then we're going to turn the PTO back on and engage it with the ground. Now here's something right here this has what's called a float position. Listen to it. See when it goes over, and listen. You hear it click and see how it locks in place? What that does is that makes this attachment float. That way all 4 tires stay on the ground and the attachment will just ride with the ground. You know what I mean? So you don't want to till like that. When you get ready to till, or when you're dropping it, you just go ahead and slam it all the way, not slant it, but you know what I mean. Just go and push it all the way to the right and it'll float. Now I'm not going to require her to wear ear protection today, simply because I'm going to be instructing her, and to be extra safe, I want her to be able to hear what I say. We are going to put a seatbelt on, because if you fall off of that, now one cool safety feature, most pieces of equipment, if you come up out of this seat, the machine cuts off, and that's kind of the way the Ventrac is. It'll cut off, so good safety. So we're going to fire it up. Where are we at? We're at low throttle. Remember, pull your choke out just a little bit and crank it.
I forgot how to do that.
Pull that out. That's your choke. When you turn the key and when it fires, push the choke right back in. Push it.
Oh.
There you go. Park and brake. Push, pull back, push down. Push down. There you go. All right, now we're going to raise it. You don't ever want to engage the tines with it in the ground, okay? So we're going to raise it up just a little bit. You're going to turn your PTO on. Yep. Now throttle it up. Throttle it up. Full speed. Alright, no. Easy. Alright, now we're going to drop it. When you drop it, then you start easing back a little bit, okay? And try to go straight. Whoa, slow down, slow down. No, the yellow button, the PTO. Alright, raise it up. Pull it to you. There you go. All the way. All the way. There you go. Alright, now I don't want to ride back through where I tilled. Don't you turn it all the way. Now it's going to go through a little bump right there. It's fine. Keep your feet there. Alright, now you need to get straightened up. Alright, same thing this time. PTO, throttle up, and you gotta push it on over. Remember, push it on over so it'll lock. Hang on a minute. Hang on, turn it off. Is it off? There you go. Good job. I'm gonna raise that up so you can see this thing work this time. Alright, now fire it back up. Remember, it won't crank without your parking brake.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Yep. Throttle up. She's doing a great job. Look at that. Well, I love it when my kids get involved in this stuff. Touch more, a little bit more. Oh! PTO, raise it up. There you go. Raise it up. There you go. All the way. Turn. There you go. She's getting it. I've been very blessed with an incredible daughter. She absolutely picks up on things extremely fast. There you go, straight on, straight on. Oh. PTO. Well, that thing's a daggone beast right there, boy. Good day in the morning. You can make quick work of a big old garden with that thing, it ain't no doubt. Honestly, I just got that thing this weekend, or this past week, and I'll just be completely honest with you, I didn't realize it was going to chop it up that fast and that good, that quick. Look at it, I ain't told her nothing, look at that, cut it. I didn't have any spray paint, so we'll kind of lay this out like this. So it'll kind of, my little path will kind of come down through there, come down through here and kind of circle around and go over to there. So all this right here, I'm gonna mulch all this. No. You have to cut the PTO off first. No, you can't crank it, and that's another thing. If that PTO is on, it will not crank. You have to turn that off, then you can crank it. But I like to stair step my garden. I put the tallest stuff in the back, and then the next is a tomato, and I would kind of stair step it from over there to here, just for sunlight reasons. I don't want to put the tall stuff in the middle and then it shade out everything on the other side, so I kind of stair step it like that. Alright, so it's really starting to shape up and kind of look like a garden. You can kind of see I left some slide rows right there, and that kind of comes back from the old tobacco pulling days. You'd have a slide row that the tractor would take off down through, but that's kind of the way I designed this, and it's a pretty typical garden design, nothing special about it. But I'll have my corn, tomato, probably jalapeno and habanero, probably zucchini squash, and we'll talk with the wife and the kids and see what they want to stick right here. Maybe we'll try some new things in this row. I like my garden kind of neat and clean and tidy, so I'll get this little bit of stuff up right here and throw it in the woods. And I'm gonna mulch this area through here, and the mulch will kind of come around here. And I'm eventually gonna build a kind of a lean-to type enclosed in box shed, something to enclose my well in, and the mulch will go right up to it, and then the mulch path will kind of walk right around here and tie into the other side of that door. That way when I'm coming in and out, if I just got to run out to get something from the building, I don't track any mud back in the house. Now, for those of you who have been watching me for any length of time, you know that when I refer to the Academy fertilizer, I'm referring to the higher Brix fertilizer, and that's the fertilizer that we promote in the GCI Turf Academy, and along with some other products and stuff in there that kind of help you to have that really good looking yard. And It's the same fertilizer I've been putting on my yard now for about 7 years. So when I found Brix years ago, I was not in any way looking for a fertilizer for turf. I was actually looking for a natural or organic fertilizer to put in my garden. And I was looking for something where I could feed it one time and leave it alone the rest of the year. You know, sometimes gardens can be a little finicky, but I wanted one product to put in the ground with my veggies and forget about it. Well, there you go. That's how I found Brix. Now, after the first year, and I saw the incredible, ridiculous amount of vegetables and how good they looked and how healthy the plants were, I got on the phone with them and I said, hey, check this out. If it does that with vegetables, will it do that with my yard? And Mr. Dan said, of course it will. So we got the closest thing to a actual turf fertilizer that they had at the time, and that was the pasture fertilizer. The first time I put it down 7 years ago was about early May going into the summer. I put it down while it was cooler to give it time to get in the ground and get in the plant before it got hot, and my yard looked absolutely incredible the entire year. So that's kind of how I got hooked on their fertilizer for the turf. And then he made mention that, hey, we used to have a lawn fertilizer, but we never sold any of it, so we just put it on the shelf. I said, well, you need to take that back off the shelf because I need it. So that's how I started my relationship with Brix. Now, good deal right here. I got a coupon code for the vegetable fertilizer. I'll put that in the description. It works for the 50-pound bag, it works for the 20-pound bucket, or it works for the little 5-pound bucket. Now that's a real cool little bucket for folks that have little small yards and stuff. That's just a little 5-pound bucket, and that goes a pretty good way. Well, here we are in North Carolina, and we are mid-March, and of course we're not going to plant our vegetables here until, say, the 3rd or 4th week in April. You definitely want to make sure that all chance of frost is gone before you put your veggies in the ground. So I'm kind of making this video early to give you time so that you can get your material and be ready to go. Now obviously I don't have any vegetables yet, so we're going to plant a rubber mallet. So you can kind of use this to plant for planting your vegetables. Use this process, and of course when I get my vegetables, we'll go through the process of sticking those in the ground. But basically I'm going to open up the ground a little bit. Of course, if you didn't till, you would dig around and open it up. You're going to plant your, put your root ball down in the ground. I like for my root ball to kind of be even with the top of the ground. Some of my veggies, I'll mound them up depending on which ones they are. Of course, we'll talk about that when I get my vegetables and plant them. But we're going to plant that right there. All right, so per the directions, it's about 3/4 cup, and you just want to sprinkle it out all around the plant. Now, one thing, I might get a little bit down in the hole and kind of mix it in with the dirt and all that, and then I'm going to go to planting, cover my root ball back up, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to kind of just mix that fertilizer all in the dirt all around it. Now, one of the coolest things about Brix is the vegetable fertilizer is a season-long fertilizer, meaning I don't have to fertilize it anymore. I'm done. All I need to do is water. Now, that alone is good. You can plant it, roll with it, water it, and man, you will really be impressed by the amount of veggies you get and the quality of the vegetables as well. Now, I started doing some playing around and testing because I've been using the O2 product, which you've always heard me call it the natural adjuvant. And I've really been testing that out for years. And I've been testing it in the yard, using it in my yard, clients' yards, in the garden as well. And this is another one of my little tricks that I found that you can do with the O2 to actually put, what's a good way to describe it? The Brix is going to go above and beyond any other vegetable fertilizer you've used. But if you want to increase or go beyond that and put your plant on steroids, then watch this. So it's real simple. I'm just going to take a 5-gallon bucket. Of course, if you have a small garden, you may only want to use about 1 gallon of water, or maybe 2. But in my case, I'll fill it up with 5 gallons of water. Okay. Now with the O2, you have to adjust the pH before you can put the O2 in with the water. So we have those as like an adjuvant starter package, which comes with the pH meter, the product, and it also comes with the citric acid, which you actually use to lower the pH. Now, if your water pH is already at a 5, which I don't see that often, you don't have to do anything. You just add the O2. My water pH here is typically around a 7, so I would have my water in the bucket. I would add a little bit of citric acid very slowly. You don't want to add it a lot. And the reason I'm not actually doing it is I don't want to waste my product, because I'm not really going to water this hammer right here. So I would have my water in the bucket, take my pH meter, test the water, use the citric acid to drop the pH of the water down to a 5 or slightly below. And then for every 1 gallon of water, I'm going to put 1 ounce of the adjuvant in there. Okay, I'm going to stir it up and mix it up really well. Once I do that, before I plant, before I dig my hole, or in the process, I'm going to take my plant, the entire plant, root ball, stem, leaves and all, and I'm going to dip it down in the bucket like so, bring it back out, then stick it in the ground and plant it, and then do your higher Brix like I just showed you. Now the natural adjuvant has chitosan in it. Now chitosan is a very, very unique material, and by dipping your vegetable down in the water, pulling it back out, you're actually coating it with the chitosan and the yucca, and the yucca is going to help the chitosan to get into the plant better. And once the chitosan gets inside that plant, chitosan has a way inside plants of triggering self-defense mechanisms inside the plant. You know, God put self-defense mechanisms inside of plants. So when stress things are starting to come from the environment, you know, heat, lack of water, severe cold, all that kind of thing, the plant has a way of kind of fighting back against that. Well, chitosan enhances that tremendously. So by dipping your plant, pulling it out, you're getting all that chitosan inside the plant, and you're basically putting your veggies on steroids. So when we're out here in the garden and we're actually sticking things in the ground and planting them, I'm gonna video that, show you how I do it, show you how I lay everything out. And of course, we'll dive into the natural adjuvant product a lot more, and talk about that in some more depth. We're going to be talking about it in the yard a lot more, and how it relates to turf and heat stress and all those kind of things. I'm tickled with the garden. I like the way it's out nice and neat again. Everything's cleaned up, all the crap. Of course I gotta keep it that way now, right? So I gotta get my mulch and put it out and get all that looking nice and pretty. I've got to mow the yard. It's knee deep. I mowed my yard the other day. I got to mow all this other grass today. So I appreciate you watching. Like and subscribe and all that. So hey, don't forget that coupon code for the higher Brix is in the description. And remember, the fertilizer portion of your veggies, you only have to do it one time. So if you're a newbie to veggies and you just want to plant one little old tomato plant, get you that little small bucket of fertilizer, the higher Brix, the smallest one, and you can plant that, and that box of fertilizer will last you several years. So don't feel like you have to have a humongous garden or a medium-sized garden or whatever to use it, because it works the same way whether you're planting in pots or buckets or in the ground or wherever you're planting them. The higher Brix is going to work the same way, meaning you only feed that plant one time and you don't have to fertilize it the rest of the year. You just keep it watered. Hey, I want to give my buddies up in Prince George's County, Maryland, a shout out for sending me this t-shirt right here. It's got their logo. This is a law enforcement, and I'm gonna put that address where you can send your t-shirt I wear XXX, XXX. You can send me a t-shirt if you're law enforcement or anything like that from your particular location in the country, and I'll wear it. And man, I'm telling you, I'm a big, proud supporter of law enforcement. You guys have my respect 100%. And this is just a little small thank you of a way to say thank you for you guys getting out there and risking your lives day to day.